Hey, I'm Walter, your communications director, and this is Luke Warren, our political director here at the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
All right. I'm good because I'm excited because we're going to talk about our new campaign, Social Security on the Ballot. And I want to start by saying, okay, Luke, every election cycle we say, this is the most important election of our lifetimes. But for Social Security, this really is the most important election of our lifetimes, right?
That's absolutely right. And it's only going to get more important as the insolvency date of the trust funds comes nearer and nearer.
And of course, the Social Security trustees just reported that the Social Security Trust Fund reserves will become depleted in 2034 or 2032, depending what metric you use. But it means the time to act is now, and the next Congress is going to have to deal with that, right?
That's absolutely right. The fate of Social Security is now on the political calendar.
Right.
The senators elected this cycle will be the class of senators that have to address when the trust fund runs out in 2032. So people might not realize it yet, but Social Security is literally on the ballot in this election, and that should be top of mind to voters as they go out and vote.
And the reason is because, like you said, anybody elected to the Senate this fall will be in office till at least January of 2033. So they're going to have to deal with it, or everyone on Social Security is going to take a 17 to 22% automatic benefit cut if Congress does nothing.
That's exactly right. And
Yeah.
so we're doing this new campaign to get people to focus on this, to raise the salience of the issue. You know, it feels like for years, Social Security has kind of been in the background as an issue. It'll get a, lip service. People will say, oh, I stand with Social Security, but then nothing more than that. But now is really the time to highlight and focus Social Security and the solutions to address the trust fund's shortfalls.
And Luke, when we say we're launching a campaign, it's sort of a twofold matter, right? Like, as we meet with candidates for office in 2026, we're going to be reinforcing this message that Social Security is going to be super important and that they should talk about it when they're out on the trail. But also, we're going to be reaching directly out to voters. Is that right?
Absolutely. So this is going to be, as I mentioned before, a multi-year campaign, starting in 26, then moving into 28, and then in 2030.
If we have elections.
If we have elections, yeah, fingers crossed. Yes, so we're going to be running a full-fledged communications campaign, posting on social media, doing media hits and interviews, doing videos, and then hitting the road, doing town halls, roundtables, anything we can to get people to pay attention and focus on addressing this looming crisis.
And Social Security was in the news this week, lots of headlines, because Senator Elizabeth Warren and Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio did an op-ed where, for the first time, a Democrat and a Republican senator are coming together, the first time in contemporary days, and saying we need to adjust the payroll wage cap so the wealthy pay their fair share. So I don't want to say Bernie Moreno crossed the aisle, but it's certainly a landmark development, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's really a development that we've been waiting for a long time. Scrapping the cap is really the only way, or the main way that you can bring fairness to the tax system and also bring revenue into the program so that people's benefits don't have to be cut.
Right.
And, Republicans for so long have been opposed to any tax increases, even ones that are just a matter of fairness to make sure that millionaires are paying the same amount as, their employees.
Into Social Security.
Into Social Security. Yeah. And so to finally have one on record saying we need to do something about this is huge, and I think bodes well for, the campaign going forward and how we're actually going to address the
shortfall. And just to underline this, of course, a couple weeks ago, Speaker Johnson said that entitlements are the problem and that Republicans have a plan to fix them next year. So if that doesn't highlight the importance of what we're doing in this campaign, I don't know what does.
No, absolutely. And it's not just Senate elections that matter this year, because as Speaker Johnson said, it is very much on the House Republicans' agenda to come after Social Security and Medicare, what he called entitlement programs on autopilot. And this is the same party that just passed a big ugly bill that cut $1 trillion from Medicaid and, closed nursing homes across the country. So I think that people should really have that top of mind when they go and vote for not only Senate, but House candidates as well.
In other words, if they're willing to cut $1 trillion from Medicaid and SNAP, take them seriously when they're talking about benefit cuts
Absolutely.
to Social Security, because it's part of that right-wing agenda that they seem to be willing to pursue no matter what the public thinks or feels. And by the way, is this true that majorities of the American public favor the kind of revenue side solution that we were just talking about and don't want benefits cut?
Absolutely. Polls have consistently found this, and it makes sense. Social Security is an earned benefit. Everyone pays into it, and everyone gets the benefit. People, expect and deserve their Social Security benefits, and the only way to address solvency of the program without benefit cuts would be to pursue tax fairness and the loopholes that the wealthy receive on their payroll taxes, and also some proposals to go after the investment income that generates so much wealth in this country that is so lopsided towards the 1%.
That investment income piece is kind of crucial because the wealthy are not making most of their money on wages anymore. It's through stock options and other investments and other securities. So you got to look at some of that income if you're going to restore fairness to the Social Security system. I want to talk about real quick, Luke, this idea that keeps bubbling up on Capitol Hill about let's kick this Social Security idea, let's kick this problem to a fiscal commission that could come up with ideas for all of us, and then those would be fast-tracked through Congress. And that way we don't have to stick our necks out too far. Why are we against these fiscal commissions?
Sure thing. So these fiscal commissions are a classic Trojan horse. They sound very appealing and sensible, but we have seen time and time again that they are intended to push through cuts to these programs. There have been commissions in the past that always end up having cuts to these programs and their solutions. And as you mentioned, they'd be fast-tracked through Congress, meaning that the representatives will say, oh, well, my hands are tied. I didn't get to have any input into it. It was a yes or no vote on it.
They don't get to have any input. The public doesn't have much time to get input. It becomes like a train moving down the track.
Exactly.
Whether we like it or not. So you're our political director. You coordinate our PAC, or Political Action Committee. We're meeting with candidates every week for the 2026 cycle. Remind folks what kind of candidates we're looking for. Then I want to ask you to take the temperature of the race.
Sure. Well, we're looking for champions of Social Security and Medicare and seniors issues. It's very straightforward. Our questionnaire, no cuts to these programs, and, strengthening them and expanding them by increasing revenue on the wealthy or increasing taxes on the wealthy. If you can't get behind that, then, we will not support you.
Yeah, if you can't get behind that, then just saying, oh, of course I support Social Security. It's a very important benefit. It's a promise.
Yeah.
Right. So
we need a little more than lip service.
We need a little more than lip service. So here's the final act of using my lips today to talk that I'm going to do before we let you go. And that is, we want you to just give us a quick snapshot of the congressional elections that are coming up in, 4 months or 5 months? 4 months. And it's the same old thing. If the election were held today, the Democrats would probably sweep. But the elections are not being held today. So how are you feeling about that right now from where we sit?
Sure. Well, I don't take anything for granted.
Good idea.
And things can change quickly. And we've seen throughout history, a lot of late deciding voters tend to break Republicans. That's been a recent trend.
Why do you point to yourself when you say late deciding?
Yeah, I'm inside a mole. No, but I think things are looking good for Democrats. I think that the Senate is becoming more and more competitive as Trump's popularity continues to drag lower and lower, and he's being a real drag on the Republicans. I think that he is incapable of toning it down or exhibiting the necessary impulse control that would really help his party in an election. He wants it to be all about him. He wants it to be the Trump show, and he's going to do whatever he wants, much to Mike Johnson and John Thune's chagrin. So, as long as he keeps doing him and making decisions that are raising costs on the American people and dragging us into more foreign wars, I think it's going to be a real headache for Republicans.
And it's affordability, which I doubt is going to change radically by November. And of course, Social Security plays into the affordability issue because seniors need those benefits every month to pay rent, groceries, medical copays, and to keep up with the ever-rising cost of living.
Yeah. Social Security is the cornerstone of affordability for what's going to be the largest block of voters this election. Seniors vote more than any other group, and that's particularly true in midterm elections. And around 50% of seniors get 90% or more of their income from Social Security benefits.
So we want to say, seniors, take stock of what's going on, vote in your interest this time. And if you want to be informed about that, visit ncpssm.org or ncpssm.org/PAC, which is Luke's political action committee, or the one he runs for us. It's not yours personally.
No, not my personal one.
All right, anyway, we're out of time, but thank you, sir.
Thank you, Walter. A lot of fun.
See you next time.